I would have loved to call my dad Wednesday morning when we left our hometown to begin a several-hour drive trip to north of Salt Lake City, Utah, just to be able to tell him about who I'm going to get to minister with and minister to this weekend. He was my biggest cheerleader. My parents divorced when I was 10 months old. They were married for 4 or 5 years, and after 10 months after I was born, they got a divorce. As a young person, I walked through my life thinking that was because of me. Maybe you come from a divorce home. Maybe you can relate to that. Listen, I got to be your age, and I thought, man, that's my deal. 2 plus 2 is 4. That's simplistic math. Listen, they were married for 4 years. They had me 10 months later. They're not married anymore. For a long time, I thought that was my fault. But then God showed me, listen, they were adults. They made that decision. And there was a time in my life where he freed me of thinking that was my fault. But listen, I come from a divorced home. My parents divorced before I was even 1. I had a great relationship with my dad. My dad would drive 2.5 hours one way, 5-hour round trip, every third weekend to pick me up. He lived in Oklahoma City. I lived in Southeast Oklahoma, and he would do that faithfully every single month. And I stand before you this evening, still broken for the loss of my father. In 2012, my wife lost her father. And so in 2017, when my dad passed away, my then 11-year-old and 7-year-old, they do not have a biological grandfather anymore. And that has been something that has been very, very difficult to walk through. Look at me. There's some times and some things in life that you may never get over, but with Christ, you can get through it. You know what? God is always with us. God will help us. God will provide us strength. I stand before you tonight because of that. I stand before you tonight not fearing about where my dad is. I know where my dad is. My dad is in the presence of Christ, not because he was a good dad, not because he drove 5 hours every third weekend to pick up his son for years. Listen, he is in the presence of Christ because he surrendered his life to Christ. And one of these days I will see my dad again, and I will see Jesus face to face. But until then, I have a job to do.